What if I told you that part of you is addicted to suffering? Not because it enjoys pain, but because pain feels familiar in a way. Most people don't suffer because life is cruel. They suffer because the ego doesn't know who it is without the struggle. This is what we're going to be talking about today. And if you like these types of conversations, make sure you like and hit that subscribe button. It's free and you can always change your mind later. Enjoy. The ego isn't evil. It isn't your enemy. It's a survival identity, a psychological structure built from memories, wounds, labels, and stories. The ego's job is simple: keep you familiar, predictable, and safe, even if that safe includes pain. This is why people stay in unhealthy relationships, why they replay old trauma, why they cling to identities built around struggle. Because without suffering, the ego doesn't know who it is. And why does suffering feel comfortable in a way? Pain feels wrong, but it's familiar. Your ego was shaped during moments of emotional intensity. Rejection, abandonment, criticism, shame, fear. These moments became identity anchors. So when peace appears, the ego panics, and you start expecting wrong things to happen. So when peace appears, peace feels unfamiliar. Silence feels suddenly unsafe. Stability feels boring. Carl Jung said, neurosis is always a substitute for legitimate suffering. Meaning, when real growth is required, the ego chooses repeated pain instead. Because suffering gives the ego a story. I'm the one who was hurt. I'm the one who struggles. I'm the one who never gets chosen. And stories give the ego its identity. So how does the ego create suffering? The ego doesn't create pain directly. It creates it through thought. It replays the past. It predicts the worst. It interprets neural moments as personal attacks. It says, why does this always happen to me? I always knew this wouldn't work. I'm not enough. Now, Eckhart Tolle explained it perfectly in the sentence, the ego loves problems because they give it an identity. Without problems, the ego dissolves. So it keeps narratives alive. It keeps suffering recycled. Not because it wants to hurt you, but because it fears disappearing. Why do people resist healing? This is uncomfortable to hear. But healing threatens the ego. Healing means letting go of old identities, releasing victimhood, releasing or losing familiar pain, stepping into the unknown. And the ego says, who am I without my trauma? Who am I without my struggle? Who am I if I stop suffering? So people unconsciously sabotage healing, they return to toxic cycles, they open old wounds, and they resist peace that they so much desire. Not because peace isn't desired, but because peace feels like an ego death. The moment awareness breaks the cycle, and here's the shift that changes everything. You are not the ego. You are the awareness watching it. The moment you observe suffering without identifying with it, the ego loses its grip. Pain may still arise, but suffering ends when identification ends. You stop saying, I am broken, and start saying, I am aware of this experience. And awareness doesn't need pain to exist, not like the ego. So how do we achieve freedom? The ego survives through suffering, but you don't. You don't need pain to be real. You don't need struggle to be worthy. You don't need wounds to be whole. The moment you stop feeding the story, the ego starves. And what remains is something quieter, deeper, truer. Peace doesn't announce itself. It appears when suffering is no longer needed to define you. And that's when life truly begins. I hope this helps. Bye!